Well, hello. Welcome to the first Notary Governance call of October 3rd, 2023. On the schedule this week, we have a very limited agenda. It's due in part to the national holiday taking place in China. We expect a shorter call with a limited number of folks joining today. So those of you that are on the call live, if there's anything that you want to bring up or discuss, we should have lots of time on this call for any open issues you want to get into. On the agenda, what we have lined up is a recap of the events taking place, a recap of the events that recently happened and the events to come. And then we have an update on meta pathways coming from Simon. So very truncated, very shortened agenda. So again, if there's any topics you want to see, happy to put them on the agenda. As always, this call takes place every other week. Today is October 3rd. The next call will take place at 1800 Pacific, 0100 UTC. And after that, the 17th will be the next call. Any topics you want to see on the agenda, feel free to hop into the Notary Governance repo, add a comment, and we'll be sure to bake it in. And if you need support from anything that you're looking for, we're the friendly governance team will be able to back you up. If you're not sure who to reach out to, feel free to always ping me, and I'll happily route you to the best POC. So with that, let's dive into the new updates taking place. First off, we have the Notary SLA. This week, we're going to make this completely optional. So if you guys are on the call, thank you. We'll give you a point for it, but anybody who's not here today due to the holiday, we will not hold that against them. So thank you for those of you that are here. The Airtable sign up is in the link. If you're on this call, thanks for being here. But again, we're making this one totally optional due to the holiday taking place. All right, recaps. So we're going to talk about this one twice. I'm going to kick it off first. I'll invite anybody who is there to kind of give their thoughts and talks. And Galen will be joining us a little bit later on the call to kind of give a more in-depth. Oh, he's here right now with some...
We're here right now before we head to drop off.
Galen, yours. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. So we had I think there was a blog post already for Singapore, and I think a blog post will be coming out for Iceland.
Show him something. Look.
Okay, hold on one second. And then we are posting the different videos. We're working through kind of scrubbing out some, making sure it's everything we want in there. Those videos will go up, and we would love people to be able to check out the videos. But both of the dev summits were super productive. We had really great community involvement. We heard from a lot of SPs and builders on FVM teams, Lotus teams, everything. Oh, good cough. Tons of fun. Stay tuned. I think some of the big things that came out of it we're already talking about and hearing in this call around kind of the new notary election cycle, some of the changes we're making to like the meta pathways of thinking about allocators and, how does the LDN or the e-fill process become, one of many, and we start having more and more pathways to data cap, and then a lot around various risk and compliance mechanisms. How do we think about risk? How do we measure compliance? And how do we have more automated interventions? So great time. Really wish everyone could have been there. Looking forward to the next big event where I think most of our team will be at is going to be Lab Week in Istanbul. If you were not able to make the dev summits for various reasons, hopefully we can see you in Istanbul, and we may be doing some more dedicated Filecoin Plus conversations. So stay tuned for that. That was all that I had from the updates. Thank you again to all the different people that presented, that came and talked, that watched the recordings. I know it might have been a little tough to have kind of the hybrid virtual and in person, but thank you again. Julie, you want to say bye?
No.
Okay, great. Have a great day.
Thanks, Galen. I appreciate that. I'm going to open the floor up if anybody was at Iceland or had any questions about it. And if you're keen to know what was talked about it, I'm going to drop this into chat. This is the schedule that was taking place there. So you can see all the talks that happened. And as Galen said, they're going to go live. So open forum if anybody has any questions or any discussions that came out of Iceland.
I can jump in. I think so. The stuff we presented specific stuff around things that Gillen mentioned. So one was around automation. So there's a bot that Phil has been working on that we can share more in the Phil Plus channel later today. And then we also shared a way in which one can earn on-chain reputation. And so we had teams from Elementus join joined the summit in Iceland where they presented some of their work that they've been doing to predict collusion and non-compliance. And so the feedback for that was broadly very well received. I think the point we did receive a point of caution from SPs like Patrick F8 and Hide saying that we should do this as like the rollout shouldn't, we should kind of start small. And I think we are going to take that feedback. And so and then in the next this week and next week, our plan is to, or I guess my goal is to present a proposal for the on-chain reputation part, and you'll see other stuff come out from other team members. And so the goal is that we want to I think separately target the governance part, the tooling part, and the risk and compliance part, and get everyone's input on how these three pillars of the Fill Plus program interact, and how can we make accretive improvements to each pillar so that I think we can kind of get the ball rolling. So would love to kind of hear. I know there's a few people on this call right now that were there. So would love to hear from community members as well.
Thanks for that, RG. I think in chat, one of the questions that came up was, where can we see these videos? Where can we find the talks? So in chat, here's the Iceland setup. And if you click on any one of these schedules, you'll see that there's a view video for any of the talks that took place. So just like RG was kind of mentioning, any session that you're keen to watch, these will be all linked. And what I'll do is I'll post these in Slack just to make it a little bit easier for everyone to dig in and find that as we go forward. So thank you for that, RG. We have two events coming up, and I think that we have KZ on the line who's actually at these with Deep. KZ, I see you're here, not meaning to put you on the spot, but I was hoping you could maybe give us a quick recap of what's going on in Vegas this week.
Sure, Carrie. Yeah, actually, it's starting in about an hour. Hasn't started yet. It's kicking off today. There's 3 days for Phil Vegas, and there's also the regularly scheduled ESPA meeting that takes place in Vegas as well. So these are both happening over the next few days. So I think there's a lot of SP focused sessions led by Network Growth team starting today. So curious to see where that goes, but I'm sure there'll be more information posted after the events and or videos.
Yeah, wonderful. Appreciate that. And then also coming up on deck, we have Istanbul. Galen mentioned this one. This is coming up in November. This is a rather big event. If you guys made it out to Lisbon last November, this is kind of a talking point across all areas. Let me find the link here for us. So the sign up is live. This will have the registration as far as some of the frequently asked questions. I think that they're still working right now on what's going to take place as far as schedule. But if you were keen to sign up, you knew you were free on the dates taking place 14th through 16th. It has the hotel as well as the basic information. And I'll drop this link right here in chat as well. So if you're keen to come, this will be all set up and you'll have it ready for it. All right, kind of moving in. We're going to shift over to new topics. We have two. First will be coming from Simon and then Phil. So Simon, I'll turn the floor over to you for the meta pathways.
Yep. Thanks, Carrie. Hey, everyone. Coming back from Phil Iceland, I want to give a quick recap on the meta pathways idea that was introduced. Currently, Phil Plus consists of 4 pathways to get data cap, as we know. So Glyph, client onboarding, LDNs, and eFill Plus. The program started with client onboarding, but as more clients were coming in, new requests and new use cases were brought up. And so new pathways were created, such as Glyph to provide quick access to small amounts of data cap, LDNs to provide large amounts of data cap, and eFill Plus to help onboard enterprise and private data. And so we're at the point where we feel like we need new pathways to address certain and new client needs. We've come a long way since the launch of the program as things kept changing and evolving. We've kept learning and we're constantly finding new ways to improve. So this idea is to focus on a lot on decentralization, compliance, and scalability by introducing more pathways to get data cap. Notaries in the next election cycle can apply, and once accepted, they can allocate data cap to clients themselves, pretty much very similar to what we are currently doing now. Because we see and hear all of these great ideas from the community, and we want to welcome people to create these pathways, such as, for example, like data swap, the trustless notary and auction house idea. Certain pathways don't really work for everyone, and so this idea was created. And something that was raised in Iceland will be starting out small and iterating over time. So it's a lot of information. The proposal will be coming out soon. It's going to outline the whole process, the system design, workflow, application process, and just like much more. So hopefully we can answer any of the unanswered questions in the proposal. So we'll announce once it's posted. So please look out for it and provide your feedback.
Thanks, Simon. We'll open it up if anybody has any questions or comments about this. All right. Phil, I'll turn it over to you for the ACBot.
Yeah. Hey guys. So just want to do a recap of the ACBot discussion during Iceland. To the recap, the ACBot is a piece of software responsible for that is going to be responsible for collecting data from different sources, and then using that data to decide whether to intervene on different data cap allocations. So this intervention could include something as soft as just giving recommendations on whether to give data cap or not, pausing the data cap application itself, or going as far as removing data cap or allocating additional data cap for a certain notary and for a certain client. It aims to be less bureaucratic, so you don't really need you don't want to wait for a notary all the time to sign your application. At the same time, you don't want to wait for notaries to remove data cap if this person is clearly abusing data cap. It's going to be more neutral, so everyone goes by the same rules because it's all based on as much data as possible, and it's going to be more permissionless. The bot will be online all the time, so it will be acting on behalf of notaries a lot. Not on behalf of notaries, it'll act supporting notaries 24/7. So one point of discussion that was brought up in Iceland was actually what happens if one of the data sources fail, or what happens if one of the data sources are incorrect. Let's say we're basing whether to remove data cap based on your retrieval scores. But what if your retrieval score is not good, and that's the fault of the retrieval score bot? So suddenly, like, you have a bad retrieval score, we're going to remove your data cap, but it's actually because the retrieval score bot is actually just glitching. So we don't want that to happen. My response to this is that the ACBot would only do any like removal or extra allocation once a 1 week grace period has come. So let's say your retrieval score is bad, but only after a week of it continually being bad will your data cap be removed. So that's where I'm coming from. And during that week, if it's continually bad and you think that you have fixed your retrieval, you can bring it up to us. Say like, hey, like this retrieval bot score does not truly reflect like what my retrieval score is. You can open disputes, and there will be a grace period for everything. This bot is not absolute, right? It will have mistakes. It will make mistakes. and we want it to be as fixable or as maintainable for you guys as possible, right? Yeah, so next steps are for me to make a follow-up proposal to this with the thresholds, the exact logic of how the bot will work. So far, doing the calculations, you guys, the clients, are doing much better than we thought we were. I thought we were, and we can be pretty optimistic with the thresholds. So that's coming up soon, supported with data and everything. So yeah, if you have any questions or discussions, let me know on Slack. That's good.
Appreciate that, Phil. Phil, maybe I have the first question to kick it off. How long will this issue be open? Like, what's the timeline that you foresee this taking place?
Yeah, so the timeline would be by this week, we would probably have a follow-up issue to this. That follow-up issue would have more technical details on the bot. And this issue would likely be closed. Most people, I think, agree to the existence of this bot, or either agree or don't mind it. And I think it's pretty important for this bot to exist because it's the first time we're systematically intervening on data cap allocations, and I think it's a long time needed that we need this to stop abuse. Yeah, so for the follow-up, we will have a follow-up proposal. So in the next governance call, you won't be seeing this proposal, but we'll probably be discussing more technical details on another proposal that is leading up from this. Sounds good. All right, giving it back to you, Carrie.
Yeah, great. Well, I'll just turn it over. Like I said on this call, rather a truncated agenda, we've kind of covered everything that was recently new. You'll notice that there's a very small audience due to the holiday. So open forum. If anything is on your mind, anything you want to discuss, open issues.
Yep, Julian speaking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. No, I mean, I think the discussion that we had in Iceland were like pretty intense. And I mean, we bring, I think all together, we bring quite a lot of new ideas of what we can do. So, yeah, I'm very happy to see what will come next and what we can achieve together. For me, it's like I mean, what I've seen during this last, since the last election is more like, I think like all these calls were like just always talking about roughly the same thing and how we can like avoid scamming and everything. And I didn't saw a lot of new ideas coming up except during the last session. And I think like the outcome from Iceland are like pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm very positive about that.
Glad to hear that. Thanks. We'll make one last open call if anybody has anything they want to talk. This is a great opportunity. All right, quick call. Enjoy the holiday, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll post this video on YouTube coming up later tonight. If anything comes up, feel free to bring it up in the issues or Slack. Otherwise, have a great day. Thanks for all your time.
Great to you guys.
Hey, friends. Welcome to the second governance call. This is a very shortened call due to a national holiday taking place in China. So we're just going to go over some very high-level updates for you and just kind of keep you aware of events. And then we'll come back on the 17th with a much more detailed call and updates on the proposals. So we're going to talk about is just a quick recap of what took place in Iceland last week, the upcoming Phil summits that are taking place in Istanbul, as well as the workshops in Vegas. And then just give you a quick update on what is happening with the meta pathways. So this should be no more than around 5 or 10 minutes tops. On the governance calls, this is the second call of October 3rd. Again, big holiday right now taking place. So we have low participation, but the next call on the 17th will be back in full swing. If you want anything on the agenda, feel free to add it in the repo and I'll bake it in. If you need support for anything that's currently going on, this is your friendly governance team. If you're not sure who to reach out to, feel free to send me a message on Slack, Kevin-FF, and I'll be happy to route you to the best point of contact. So with that, if you're on the call right now, here's the link to the Notary Airtable. We're going to make this call not mandatory, but if you're here, definitely give you credit for coming and say a big thank you. So just put that in chat for you guys on the call. And if anybody is watching this remotely, we won't make this session mandatory. We'll just kind of make this like a extra credit, however we want to say it as we go forward with that. So to recap, the Phil Dev Summit took place in Iceland. There are a few YouTube links that you can see to watch these sessions. If you're curious to have them break down on the morning call, Galen came in and kind of gave us an overview of what these calls were, what the sessions were. I'm going to put the chat link right here so you can see Phil Dev Iceland. It's right here in chat for us as well. And so any session that you wanted to actually watch and get a feel for, you can see that there's a video. So if you're curious about the FMV, if any of the teams, the abstractions, whatever it may be, data tools, if you see here, all the links are posted. And what I'll do is I'll grab the ones relative to Phil Plus, and I'll put those in our Slack so you can easily reference those as you go forward. This week, a lot of the team, Deep and KZ, they're in Vegas for the philvegas.io. And what they're doing is booking on the data structure for storage right now. So a lot of the team is fragmented with traveling. So if you have an issue, feel free to reach out. This one's going to be taking place this week. A lot of these sessions, I don't know if they're broadcast live. If they're recorded, I'll make sure that these are put on YouTube and they're put in our Slack channel as well. And the big one coming up is Phil Istanbul. So if you saw us back in Lisbon, back in November, this conference is now ready to sign up. I'll put this link here in chat if you're keen to come check it out. And Phil Istanbul is a great way if you want to network. It's storage providers, it's data providers, it's anybody that's really in the ecosystem. I think this correlates with another Ethereum conference that's taking place in the same time. So you can see it's a big, broad swath. Registration is open. So this link will give you all the information if you're keen to come network in person. That Istanbul is ready for you. All right. And last on the quick round of agendas, it's the Meta Pathways design recap. So Simon on the morning talked about this in great detail. And essentially, when you look at the current program, it's grown. It's grown quite substantially over time. And so what we're looking at is like, what can we do to improve the pathways for getting this data cap? And if you've been around Filecoin or Filecoin Plus for a while, you know we have an automated system like Glyph where you can get a very small amount. We have the LTNs, we have the Enterprise Phil Plus. So there's all these different pathways that you can go about getting the data cap. What this is doing is it's looking at saying, what can we do from like what the notaries have been doing and put this into like an allocator standpoint. So essentially what it would happen is the community steps in and says like, hey, we're looking at this. And let me give you like an example. So when the data cap would come through, it might just automatically process through that. And what the allocators are doing is like looking for like how this would be processed as it gets running through it. Simon's going to put this into a real detailed proposal, which will be far more eloquent than my trying to summarize it here quickly for you. And once that proposal gets up, that'll explain a lot more about what this allocator model is looking like to try to make this a little bit less bureaucratic and a lot less time consuming for notaries. So that way this can maybe like work in a little bit better system for you as you go forward. What Phil has been working on is the ACBot design recap. We talked about this in the last 3 calls. And essentially what this bot will do is it will decide the thresholds, whether to intervene with data cap. So this is the ANC bot. I think this is getting ready to close here. This might be the last week that they're taking feedback. So if you're on the call, if you're watching this, you have any thoughts, that would be a great place to go check that out and kind of give any information that you may want from that. So with that, those are like the down and dirty, just real quick updates for you on this very shortened call, very abbreviated call, just to kind of keep you updated during this holiday period. I'm going to open it up. If anybody on the call has any thoughts, questions, the floor is yours. Very quick. Well, if anything comes up, as always, feel free to message me on Slack or GitHub, or let us know in the comments if we could do to help. Other than that, thank you so much for your time. You guys have a wonderful night and day. We'll see you guys soon. Cheers, everyone.